Tonight, a grim projection from the province. We are on track to see over 1,000 new COVID-19 cases per day.
Cases now doubling every 10 to 12 days.
We've got to pull up our socks. We've got to do what we need to do, what we're trained to do, and do it again and do it well.
More on the new modeling as the Ford government faces questions about why more isn't being done to stop the spread. Plus, a strong storm leaves behind a trail of destruction in rural Hamilton, overturning a truck and ripping the roof off a barn. And
the Tampa Bay Rays have won the wild card series.
The Blue Jays strike out. The team's brief playoff appearance comes to an end in blowout fashion. Good evening, I'm Marivelle Tarouk. In just a matter of days, the number of COVID-19 cases could rise by the hundreds. Today, Ontario reported 625 new cases, but stark new projections suggest we could be well beyond that soon. Ontario's health officials are now projecting some 1,000 new cases of COVID-19 per day in the first half of October. The modeling also suggests intensive care units will struggle to cope and surgeries could be affected. Our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has more.
Fall is firmly here in Ontario, and today, more than a week after the official start of the season, Ontario released its fall preparedness plan for COVID-19, a plan to prepare for a second wave that has already arrived.
Cases are doubling every 10 to 12 days now. By mid-October, Ontario could see 1,000 new cases a day.
That projection comes from new modeling released today by the province, reported first by CBC News on Monday. One of the biggest concerns, rising infections among older age groups.
If you see a growth in our older population in terms of the cases, you will see a growth as well in the number of deaths.
Another worry, the impact on intensive care. Officials say if more than 150 COVID patients end up in ICU, it becomes hard for hospitals to continue scheduled surgeries. If that number exceeds 350, it becomes impossible. That's in part why some doctors want the government to roll Ontario's COVID restrictions back to stage 2. Yet today, a different group of doctors said the rise in case numbers simply doesn't warrant it.
There is a significant increase in activity since the summer, but it's not alarming or overwhelming, and I don't think it deserves such a dramatic response by the government.
There are no signs that the government is poised to impose stage 2 right now.
We're cognizant of closing down too many businesses without data to support that as a draconian measure.
We aren't rolling back today. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but today that's not a conversation that's going to happen in Cabinet.
While today's number of new COVID-19 cases in Ontario is not a record, the percentage of people testing positive hit its highest rate in 4 months. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
Toronto City Council has voted on a slate of new restrictions and supports for the struggling bar and restaurant industry.
The city's restaurants and bars are vital businesses in our neighborhoods, all of our neighborhoods across the city, and they've been hit hard.
Mayor John Tory admits the new restrictions will have a negative impact, but Toronto's top doctor says rising cases make them crucial. Under the new rules, restaurants and bars will now have to reduce the number of customers from 100 to 75. Collect contact information from each patron at a table, reduce the number of people at a table from 10 to 6, and lower background music to the level of conversation. Council also passed measures to help support restaurants, including helping them to implement year-round outdoor dining. The mayors of Brampton and Mississauga want the province to bring in tighter rules for private events.
Banquet halls still leave us very nervous. The tendency is large gatherings where people are celebrating a milestone event. They become more comfortable as the evening goes on, and we're not seeing the same diligence.
We have seen cases linked to weddings and social functions at banquet halls, small get-togethers with family and friends, and at places of worship.
Peel's medical officer of health is suggesting people hold off on events like weddings for now and for venue operators to offer refunds. Today, Peel reported 97 new cases of COVID-19. It is the second highest number in the province, behind Toronto at 288. Though officials maintain Peel is not in a second wave yet. That's because they're still able to identify the source of infections in up to 90% of cases. There's also concern about the long-term effects of COVID-19, and that is exactly what two doctors are researching. And tonight, they got a big financial boost to continue their work. They are one of two groups to win the annual Angel's Den Healthcare Research Competition put on by St. Michael's Hospital Foundation. Angelina King caught up with the winners and one of their patients.
I keep on coughing.
Betty Poix hasn't stopped coughing since recovering from COVID-19 in April. She got infected working at a long-term care home.
I only got fatigue, a slight fever, and of course coughing. Until now I still have it.
Doctors have found scarring on her lungs. She says although she's tested negative, people think her cough is still contagious.
No doctor can help me, so where I'm going to get the treatment?
That's where these doctors come in. They've created the first of its kind COVID lung clinic at St. Michael's Hospital.
Congratulations.
And after winning $175,000, their work can continue.
We're really honored. I think that it speaks to the fact that people are worried about COVID.
Specifically about the future. They say the virus is like a tsunami. It's the flooding that can cause some of the worst damage after the tsunami has already hit.
I think it's right to focus on the waves of infection now, but we also have to be thinking about what's going to happen and what's going to stay and what's going to cause probably much longer and much greater damage in the long term.
He says lung damage from COVID-19 can lead to irreversible scarring, causing breathing problems. They say studies suggest nearly half of those who get COVID will have persistent shortness of breath for at least a few months after recovery.
And the question that Kieran and I are trying to answer, number one, is how many of those people will actually, at 1 year or 2 years, have that problem, and how much of that's due to lung scarring? And if they have it, what are we going to do about it?
But they're facing two challenges. It takes 3 appointments and a CT scan to screen patients for COVID lung scarring. And if a patient does have scarring, there's no treatment. But the new funding will allow Dr. McIntyre to purchase more ultrasound machines that help determine if doctors can screen in real time before confirming with a CT scan. And Dr. Yoon can keep studying a new anti-scarring drug with the goal of doing clinical trials in a year. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
Wow. Congrats to them. Well, it was fun while it lasted, but the Blue Jays have been eliminated from the playoffs.
Swing and a drive to left field. If it's fair, it's gone. A grand slam home run for Hunter Renfroe.
Tampa Bay hit 2 homers off Blue Jays ace Hyunjin Ryu in a 6-run second inning and rolled to an 8-2 win that eliminated Toronto in the best-of-3 series. The Rays beat the Jays in Game 1 yesterday. The young team, though, surprised many by even getting to the wild card series. After the game, Jays manager Charlie Montoyo said the short playoff run is a good learning experience. Tampa Bay goes on to play either Cleveland or New York in the next round. Powerful storm left a trail of destruction at a farm in rural Hamilton tonight. Residents in Flamborough say a tornado touched down, ripping a tree off the ground, flipping over a large truck, and ripping the roof off a barn. Environment Canada can't confirm if it was a tornado yet. They say it could have been a microburst. A damage survey team will be sent to the scene tomorrow. There were also reports of pea-sized hail. Thankfully, though, no injuries were reported. Peel police have now identified the man killed in a shooting last night. The victim was found on a pathway near McLaughlin Road and Highway 407. 20-year-old Adrian Ibanka of Brampton was found on the path leading to a townhouse complex. He was pronounced dead in hospital. So far, no suspect information has been released. A sprawling mansion with an exclusive casino and spa hidden inside. Everything from slot machines to table games and top-shelf alcohol was available, all protected by fully loaded firearms. The secret gambling spot was operating right here in the GTA. York police have now seized the 20,000 square foot luxury home in Markham. Greg Ross has more details.
It was an investigation that lasted months, dubbed Project Endgame by police. This is a video of a police raid of the mansion in Markham on July 23rd, and police say what they found inside was nothing short of shocking.
We arrested 29 people, including the owner-operator, and seized 11 firearms with thousands of ammunition, gaming tables and machines, $1.5 million of alcohol, and $1 million of cash.
Police had some of these items on display today, including this AR-15 rifle found in one of the bedrooms.
This firearm was fully loaded with a 30-round magazine and available within easy access to anyone in the room.
Police called it a high-end operation, complete with armed guards and high-tech video surveillance. Police say gaining access to these gates was by invite only, but once inside, clients were offered bed and breakfast style accommodations, a casino with gaming tables and slot machines, as well as a number of other expensive services.
Gamblers had access to accommodation, spa treatments, high-end food, and beverage services. Human sex trafficking is also suspected and is under investigation. Also in the basement was a full cash bar with over 4,000 bottles of top-shelf alcohol and a full wine cellar valued at $1.5 million.
In all, 29 people were charged and are facing a total of 74 offenses. They were all Canadian residents, but police say it's quite possible this gaming house had clientele that spanned the globe.
We heard the same or had the same intelligence that people were coming from all over, essentially, but also from China to gamble at this location.
Police have seized all of the gambling equipment and the mansion itself, which they say is valued at $9 million. They say the owners of the home and those running the casino all had ties to organized crime. Greg Ross, CBC News, Markham.
We all made a commitment that if we were going to be here till the end, we were going to go out on a high.
The Great One is leaving us again. Wayne Gretzkys is closing down. Coming up, we take a look at the iconic restaurant's nearly 3-decade history. Plus,
thunderstorms in fall? Oh yes, we can have them. Had them today. I'm meteorologist Colette Kennedy. Is it coming again tomorrow? Quite likely. I'll have the forecast details coming up.
Every year on September 30th, students across Canada mark Orange Shirt Day. It's a time for them to acknowledge the history of residential schools and honor the survivors. We visited one grade 6 class at William G. Davis Junior Public School in Scarborough to find out what they've learned about our country's history.
Has it been a real eye-opener?
Yes.
As an educator, when I grew up in this school system, I did not learn about the residential schools, and they were happening when I was in elementary school. I was very ignorant of my history. And I think that's why in our curriculum that is very Eurocentric, that we need to unpack this with our students so that they can go on and help with the legacy.
My granny bought me a shiny new orange shirt to go to school in. When I got there, I was stripped, my clothing taken away, including my new orange shirt.
Phyllis Webstad started the orange shirt movement, and she has been very instrumental. And we are unpacking our misconceptions about our history and acknowledging the wrongs that happened in our history.
They took them from their families. They didn't have a choice. I felt really surprised that they were treating her and all the other Indigenous children this way, and I'm glad that we're trying to fix things now with them.
My students have been learning about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the 94 recommendations by Murray Sinclair, which says education got us into this, education is going to get us out. And these group of students are the ones that are going to continue this conversation and build those relationships.
Let's check in with Colette for the forecast. Colette, a downpour in downtown Toronto this evening and active weather across the GTA and the Golden Horseshoe.
Thanks, Marivelle. Well, here we are into fall, but it doesn't mean we can't have the kind of weather that we see in spring and summer. And what I mean by that is getting into some thunderstorm activity. Of course, we had that today with some gusty winds, some heavy downpours, and even a little bit of small hail that occurred, especially through the Niagara region. So a repeat Thursday, yeah, we have the same kind of conditions in place, that upper low, and generally we're seeing at the surface with the lakes some warmer conditions, and even as we get some sunshine in there, that actually enhances the risk that we get into more scattered showers and thunderstorms. So likely to see similar conditions tomorrow. Now by Friday, the temperatures are actually going to be dropping further, not just the daytime highs, but Friday night into Saturday, some cool overnight lows as well. When will those temperatures rebound? Probably back to seasonal again by about Monday, but it'll probably feel a little better by Tuesday because still some wet conditions potential for it into Monday. So daytime temperatures today around 17 in Toronto, and then as the rain kind of pushed through, drop those readings back down again. But seeing, yeah, in most cases close to seasonal, but if anything, a little bit below. And like I say, in the overnight hours, we still have the chance of some wet conditions, and see some of the lake enhancement here. You can see almost looking like streamers coming off the lake because of the wind. So we can get that at this time of year too. That's in the overnight and the early morning, and then with some of the daytime heating. So yeah, we get times when it's actually kind of a nice day and some sunshine coming through, but that just enhances those scattered showers and thunderstorms. So we get into that as well. And not just through Thursday. I'm sorry to tell you, some of that activity carries on into Friday as well. Saturday looking like maybe the drier, sunnier day that you can count on, and then Sunday, maybe not so good either. Overnight temperatures into southwestern Ontario look like this, and this is what tomorrow afternoon is like. So 4 or 5 degrees below seasonal with those unsettled conditions throughout the Golden Horseshoe. We're talking about around 10 for your overnight lows, mid to trying to climb to the upper teens, not going to get there for the daytime highs, 16 to 17 degrees, where you get a little more sunshine, some longer sunny breaks, the better chance you get. But then as the storms roll through, that pushes the temperature back down. This is what I mean by cooler daytime highs as we head towards the weekend. This is what I mean by a cooler overnight lows. So starts off chilly Saturday morning, still a little chilly into Sunday. There's the potential for some showers as we go through the day on Sunday. Right now, though, it's looking like maybe that's going to hold off later Sunday and go into Monday. And this is what I mean about the temperatures starting to rebound, going closer back to seasonal as we get into the beginning of next week. Maribel?
All right. Thanks, Colette.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
It's been a landmark in the city for nearly 3 decades. Wayne Gretzkys Toronto first opened its doors in 1993, hosting everyone from sports fans to celebrities to the Great One himself. But the time has come for the restaurant to hang up its skates, to make room for a new condo tower. I spoke with the restaurant's general manager, who's been part of Gretzkys for more than a decade.
I promise you that there will be pierogies until the last day.
Selfishly, that makes me happy.
A lot of people happy.
They've been on the menu and a favorite since day one, Grandma Gretzky's pierogies. Just one of the things that made Gretzky's stand out. I want to know from you sort of what you think makes this place so different from so many other establishments that surround this district in Toronto.
Well, it starts with the name on the front door, over the Wayne Gretzky sign. With that comes just an expectation of a brand. You know, you've got this name that's a household name. You have to execute here. You know, you're surrounded by memorabilia. You're surrounded by a reputation. You're surrounded by people that really you kind of see a bit of a snapshot into, you know, someone's career. One of the greatest athletes of all time, and it's hard not to be inspired by that.
Heather Sanchi has worked here for nearly a dozen years. She's met the Great One numerous times. Each time is no less exciting.
He comes in at least 4 times a year. When he's in town, he comes in. So you know that commitment's still there. And it's always, I do admit, I get excited when I know he's coming to town, because I know that there's going to be at least one person that is really going to have an experience that they didn't know they were going to have here. I can feel him here before I've seen him. I know he's here by the energy in the room.
Do you remember the first time you met Wayne Gretzky?
I do. It was actually off-site. We were doing a manager team building experience, and we were out for dinner, and I looked to my right, and him and Janet had just come for dinner, and I turned and I was like, "Oh, hi Wayne, how are you?" And then all of a sudden I realized that's Wayne Gretzky.
I love it here, and like I said, I'm proud to be a Canadian.
Gretzky opened his restaurant in 1993 and unveiled memorabilia that's grown over 3 decades.
The truth of the matter is, my father collected all of this stuff and told me one day that I would put it to good use.
Is there anything for you that, like, if someone said, what's the one thing I need to see here?
Probably the most popular little tidbit is Wayne Gretzky's first pair of skates. And beside that is a little scoreboard of a game that he played when he was a kid. And the difference of the points between him being the first and the second is huge. So you realize he was going to be something. It was there already in the stars for him.
Sanchi says this peek into the accomplishments of a hockey legend is a major attraction for everyone, from tourists to locals.
On any given day or given night, you could have a family of 4 from a northern small town, a group of ringette players from Finland, a group of hockey players from Hamilton, and a celebrity VIP that are in town shooting a movie, all in one space, one night, and even one section.
Since the day it opened, it's been one of the go-to places to gather for all the big games. And then there are those extra special moments, like cheering on Team Canada at the Olympics.
I think about the Olympic hockey games and people getting up, at 4 o'clock in the morning. Some people didn't even go to sleep, and they were lined up all the way around the building, for us to open our doors at 6 a.m. and we just, poured pints of draft all day long. And
27 years of memories that Sanchi and her staff vow they'll honor until the last customer is served.
We all made a commitment that if we were going to be here till the end, we were going to go out on a high, almost like Wayne Gretzky, to the last possible moment. He, in his playing career, he had grace, he had style, he, kept it together, and he performed, to that last time he, got off the ice.
Some great memories there. And that's our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.